Hello everybody, welcome back to Woodworking Wisdom. Today we're making a tiered display stand and we're going to make it out of an old pallet. So if you attend craft fairs, if you want to display your whatever it is that you make, whether you're a turner or pen, you make pens, this can be a really good way, instead of having everything flat on display, to kind of bring things up, get a bit of height on your display, and also it makes it all a bit more visible. So you're kind of looking at it from the front, you can see all the bits kind of stacked up at the back, and give you a bit more room on your table to put more bits out. So like I say, we're making a tiered display stand, and we've got some bits of an old pallet which I've just cut out, or used a pry bar to take the planks off. We've given those a little sand up. Here's the pallet behind me here. And when I was taking that apart, when we were prying some of those boards off, they do split down the middle sometimes where the nails have gone through. But don't worry, we can use those bits. We're going to use those as little supports. So yeah, let's go through the kind of stages we need to go through to make this stand. So all I've done here is popped a few dogs in the bench and then a little bit of ply to give me a nice solid stop to go up to. That's going to work really well and just going to be really helpful. We need to create our steps first. All of these boards, it's worth just checking them over for splits in the ends and things like that. This one doesn't look too bad, so we're going to use the width of a board to mark that off there. We'll cut these on the bandsaw in a minute. And again, just trying to keep things nice and square, so keeping this square edge up against that line there. We'll pop another line in, and that's our first two kind of tiers. They're going to be the same width of the board. So yeah, that's our first little bit. And then we want one that's double that width as well. So a couple of ways we could do that. We could use our board and mark off here, or we could just measure this space here. Just grab my rule. What we got here is all of these measurements are nominal, because you're going to have different size or different width boards on your pallet. So we're going to end up with some funny measurements here. So this one is 184 millimeters. So we're going to double that. Sorry, not double it. We're going to use that 184 millimeters to do another little mark just here. So we've got two of the bottom step, the sides for the bottom step, and then this is going to be our middle step. So we want another one of those at 184, and we'll just use that plank we were just using. 184. And then we can cut these bits on the bandsaw. So over to the bandsaw. Okay, so we set the fence of the bandsaw so it just hits on this pencil line, and we can just push that through twice now. I'm seeing a little split running up through here. So when we cut this, it may come in two, but it's not going to be waste. We can use that as little batons if it does. And we'll just cut another piece. Okay, so extractor on. I've put on my goggles. Using a push stick, my hand's a little bit close there, so got a little hook on the back of the bandsaw that holds the push stick. Cutting two of those little squares, and now we've got the second tier to cut, so they're slightly longer. Okay, so we need to cut our second tier, or the slightly longer bits. There's a couple of ways you could do that. Remember, it was 184 our measurement, so you can either offer the rule up behind the blade and just set the fence off of that, or just send it off your little pencil mark. So we're just going to push these two through the bandsaw. that's it, we've made our cuts. Just wait for the bandsaw to stop and then we can go in and retrieve our bits. So that's our second stage, the 184mm bits, and then we've got one more which is going to be 3 times the length or the width of our planks. Okay, so we've cut all our bits of wood that we need. We do need to just cut some little strips that are going to attach these bits together. But you can see we've got 3 long ones, 2 in the middle, and then 2 of the shorter ones. And remember, they are the width of the board. This is 2 times the width, and this is 3 times the width. So we need to join these together, so we're going to put some little temporary strips along the bottom of these so that we can then work out where the other little strips or supports are going to go for the shelves that are going to sit on each of these steps. So let's have a little look. I think we're going to need a strip that comes along here. We don't want it to come right to the front, so we can go to about 22 centimeters. So we can drop a screw in here, here and here, hold the whole thing together, but this kind of strip is not coming right the way to the front, and then hopefully when we've got our shelf on top, that's going to obscure it a little bit so you can't see the kind of how we're joining it together so much. So like we were saying before, we want to create a little strip that's going to be screwed to fix these together. That's going to be 22 centimeters long, or 220mm. Again, just going to mark that off with a pencil, and we can get our 2 strips